If you've ever felt like money somehow slips through your fingers, no matter how hard you try to budget, plan, or manifest, it might not be your mindset, it might be your belly. Strange, I know, but stay with me. There's a soft, quiet place just below your stomach, the navel. We often ignore it, treat it like a leftover from birth, a detail we hide under clothes. But in ancient healing traditions, it was seen as something far more powerful. A gateway, an energy switchboard, a starting point for all flow, physical, emotional, financial. When life feels stuck, especially with money, we tend to look outward. We chase better strategies, bigger jobs, or more positive thinking. But what if the stuckness isn't outside? What if it's sitting right at your center, beneath layers of stress, old money stories, or emotional weight that never got processed? Think about it. Your belly has heard every anxious thought about bills. It's tightened during sleepless nights over money decisions. It's where fear settles when you feel you're falling behind. And yet, it's also where the energy of action, confidence, and receptivity lives if you know how to gently tap back in. This isn't about tricks or trends. It's about using your own body as the first tool for change. A single drop of the right essence, applied with presence at the right time, can signal something powerful to your nervous system. I'm ready to receive. I'm safe to act. I'm centered. No fanfare, no forcing, just one simple ritual rooted in your own biology and subtle energy. And the shift, it might not come with fireworks. It might come quietly, like breathing a little deeper, making a clearer decision. Feeling a little less fear when you check your bank balance, but that small shift, if practiced consistently, can change your entire relationship with money. Let's begin there, at your center. Part 1, your belly remembers what your mind forgot. There's a reason you place your hand on your stomach when something feels off. Whether it's grief, anxiety, or a quiet unease you can't quite name, your body sends signals there first, long before your mind can put words to what's wrong. It's not just instinct, it's memory. Your belly remembers what your mind forgot. Before you were born, before you took your first breath, the navel was your lifeline. Through it, you received everything you needed: nourishment, oxygen, rhythm, warmth. It was your first connection to life, steady, quiet, and constant. Then it was cut, and we were taught to forget. We moved on to logic, to thinking, to doing. We were told that success comes from hustle, that money is earned through pushing, and that emotions have no place in financial decisions. But the body never agreed. The body remembers differently. Your belly holds more than digestion and core strength. It holds the residue of every time you've clenched during a difficult conversation about money. Every gut instinct you ignored. Every dollar you spent out of fear. Every opportunity you passed up because you doubted yourself. It's all still there, unprocessed, waiting not for a new plan, but for your attention. This is why you can do all the right things, read the books, repeat the affirmations, set the goals, and still feel like something isn't flowing. Because beneath all the effort, your energy is still tangled. You're trying to plant seeds in soil that hasn't been cleared. And no amount of hustle can override the messages your nervous system is quietly broadcasting from your center. I don't feel safe. I don't trust this, or worse, I don't deserve it. We live in a culture that praises independence but often punishes stillness. And yet real transformation, the kind that sticks, doesn't come from doing more. It comes from going inward, from tuning back into the wisdom of the body. And that starts with the belly, not in a symbolic sense, but in a literal, physical way. There's a center in your body, just below the navel, often called the seat of your will, your inner fire. In ancient healing traditions, it's the point from which action arises. When it's strong, you move decisively, speak clearly, and attract opportunities with ease. But when it's weak or blocked, you hesitate, overthink, second-guess. You feel foggy, tired, unsure. Not because you lack ambition, but because your power center has gone quiet. Not broken, just disconnected. The good news is reconnection doesn't require complexity. Sometimes it begins with one simple act, placing your hand on your belly and breathing. Not to fix, but to listen, to feel, to remind your nervous system that it's safe now, that the threats you once stored there, poverty, scarcity, guilt, shame, don't belong in your body anymore, that you're allowed to receive. If this sounds small, that's the point. Change doesn't always thunder in. Sometimes it slips in like morning light, slow, quiet, transformative. And when you begin showing up for your belly, not just feeding it, but honoring it as a center of wisdom, you'll start noticing shifts you didn't expect. You might catch yourself standing taller in conversations about money, saying no when you mean it, spending without guilt, saving without fear. You might find yourself doing less and receiving more, not because you worked harder, but because you stopped blocking what wanted to come in. This isn't magic, it's neurobiology. Your belly houses the enteric nervous system, sometimes called your second brain. It's deeply linked to your emotional well-being and decision-making. When soothed and supported, it signals safety. And when the body feels safe, the mind follows. You take better risks. You hold your boundaries. You believe you are enough. And if you're wondering why this matters now, why this part of your body deserves attention today, it's because many of us have spent decades living from the neck up. Managing, analyzing, surviving, and that's not wrong. But at some point, the body calls us home. It calls us not with pain, but with invitation. A sense that something's off. A yearning to feel more settled. A quiet knowing that your relationship with money isn't just about numbers. It's about how supported you feel at your core. So we begin here. Not with big declarations or overnight shifts, but with presence. With the willingness to touch the place you've ignored and ask, "What have I forgotten?" Let your belly answer. It won't speak in words, it will speak in warmth, in ease, in tiny, almost imperceptible changes, your shoulders dropping, your breath deepening, your thoughts softening. And slowly, you'll notice, something inside you is starting to flow again. Part 2, 7 days, 7 drops, 7 subtle shifts in flow. Day 1, ground yourself, sandalwood. Day 1 is not about fixing anything. It's not about getting more or rushing ahead. It's about returning to a place in yourself you may have ignored for far too long. If your life has felt scattered, if your thoughts have been racing, if your decisions around money feel like guesses instead of grounded choices, this is where we begin. We begin by stopping. Because stability isn't something you chase. It's something you anchor into. And that anchor lies right at your center, just below the navel, the place where you once received life and where quietly life still gathers. If your energy has felt like it's been running in 10 directions at once, there's a reason for that. We live in a world that rewards fast decisions, constant motion, and the illusion of control. But your body doesn't speak speed, it speaks stillness. That's why the first essence is sandalwood. Sandalwood doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't overwhelm your senses. It arrives gently like the voice of someone you trust, telling you that you don't need to perform today. You just need to return. 1 drop, that's all. Press it gently into your navel. Let the warmth settle in. Then place your hands there, not to fix, not to force, but simply to feel. 3 breaths, nothing fancy. Just you, your belly, and a little stillness. As the scent rises, don't try to make anything happen. Just notice what's already softening. That tension in your shoulders, that clench in your jaw, that invisible weight behind your ribs. It starts to loosen, not because you tried, but because you allowed. That's the difference. Sandalwood teaches you how to come home, not just to your body, but to your calm. And from that calm, you begin to remember what it feels like to trust yourself again, not in a loud, showy way, but in a quiet, grounded knowing that whatever needs to come will come. And what doesn't won't shake you. That's power. Real power. Day 1 is about that power. The kind that holds steady even when the world pulls at you. The kind that doesn't rush into change, but lays the foundation for it. So don't underestimate this small ritual. You're not just applying oil to your skin. You're telling your nervous system, we're safe now. You're telling your bank account, I don't need to panic anymore. You're telling your inner self, I'm here, I'm listening. And that is how everything begins to shift. Day 2, ignite action, cinnamon. Day 2 is for the moment you've been putting off. The email you keep saving as a draft. The phone call you're afraid to make. The project you've started and stopped so many times it now feels like a sore spot. We all carry something unfinished, not because we're lazy, but because our energy has been fragmented. And action, real action, doesn't come from pressure. It comes from clarity, from heat, from readiness. That's where cinnamon comes in. Unlike the gentle scent of sandalwood, cinnamon wakes you up. It warms your skin, sharpens your breath, and brings your focus out of the fog. It doesn't ask you to think about it. It nudges you to move, to step, to say yes. Cinnamon is the fire you've been waiting to light, but not wild, destructive fire. This is the controlled flame, the kind you can cook with, lead with, grow from, the kind that turns hesitation into decision. In the morning, before the day claims you, take 1 drop of cinnamon oil and warm it between your palms. Gently press it to your navel. Let it sit for a few seconds. Then place your hands over your belly and take a breath, not to calm, but to awaken. You might feel heat spread like something shifting inside you. That's not imagination, that's activation. Say to yourself, softly but clearly, I'm ready. Ready doesn't mean perfect, it doesn't mean certain, it just means willing. And that's all action ever really asks of you. If you've been afraid of failing, remember, inaction is its own kind of failure. If you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. That warm pulse in your belly, that's your courage rising. It might not shout, but it doesn't shake, it holds. Let the fire in your belly guide the way you speak today, the way you respond, the way you finally close the loop on things you've been circling for too long. This energy is decisive, and when you act from this place, not from panic but from power, you'll be shocked how quickly things begin to move. Today is not about doing everything. It's about doing one thing with your whole self behind it. So go. The door is already unlocked. You just have to walk through. Day 3, clear the fog, ginger. Some days it's not fear that holds you back, it's fog. You're not frozen, but you're not fully moving either. You check the to-do list, but nothing feels urgent. You think about your goals, but can't seem to care today. It's not sadness, it's not laziness, it's something quieter, something heavier. Like your energy is sitting at the bottom of a still pond, waiting for a ripple. That's why today is for ginger. Ginger doesn't shout or shine like cinnamon. It simmers, it steadies. It doesn't push you into action, it lifts the weight so you can rise on your own. If your body has felt tired lately, if your mind has been foggy and unfocused, this is not a sign of failure. It's a sign your energy flow has slowed, and ginger knows how to wake it up, gently from the inside out. This morning, before your day builds momentum, place 1 drop of ginger essential oil on your fingertip and press it into your navel. Massage in a slow, clockwise circle, just a few times, nothing more. Then let your hands rest. As the warmth begins to spread beneath your skin, don't chase clarity. Just sit with the sensation of returning. This is the kind of energy that rebuilds you. It won't demand quick wins or dramatic decisions. It simply stirs what has been sitting too still for too long. And as your belly softens and your breath deepens, you may feel something subtle shift. Your shoulders lower, your jaw relaxes, your mind begins to clear. Ginger's wisdom lies in momentum. Not explosive, not urgent, just steady. The kind of inner fire that whispers, let's get going. You might find yourself tidying the room you've avoided, calling the person you've missed, opening the email you kept skipping. And the beauty is you won't force it. You'll feel it as a natural desire to re-engage with your life, your plans, your forward motion. Today isn't about clarity in your head. It's about movement in your body. About trusting that even when you feel unclear, your energy still wants to help you find the way. So don't overthink. Just warm your center. Let ginger melt what's been heavy and allow that warmth to carry you slowly but surely back to yourself. Day 4, heal money wounds, honey. Money isn't just numbers, it's memory. And some of the deepest scars we carry don't show up in bank statements. They show up in the way we breathe when we swipe a card, the tension we feel when someone brings up savings, the quiet shame that rises when we think we should have more by now. These aren't thoughts. They're stored feelings, held tightly, quietly in the body. And most of them live in the belly. That's why today we turn to honey. Not sugar, not sweetness for show, but real, raw honey, the kind that's taken time to form, drop by patient drop. Honey is nature's medicine for wounds we pretend aren't there. And when applied to the navel, it doesn't just soften the skin. It begins to soften the emotional residue so many of us have held around money for decades. You might not remember the first time money made you feel small. Maybe it was hearing adults fight over bills, or watching your parents argue about not enough. Maybe it was a moment when you lost something you worked hard for, or when you felt judged for what you didn't have. These moments may seem distant, but the body remembers. It holds the contraction. And over time, that becomes your financial frequency, not what you earn, but how you feel about what you have. Today, take a small dab of pure honey. Warm it slightly between your fingers. Then gently press it into your navel. No rubbing, no massaging. Just let it sit. Let it sink in. Place your hands over your belly and close your eyes. Breathe. Don't try to think positively. Just be present with what rises. Honey doesn't work by pushing. It works by holding. And as it rests on your skin, it speaks to every part of you that's ever felt afraid of money, overwhelmed by it, or ashamed of wanting more. Its quiet message is this: you are still worthy, even when money feels hard. You are still whole, even when your past tells you otherwise. And this may be the hardest part, doing nothing, letting the discomfort rise without flinching. But that stillness is where the healing happens. When you stop running from your money stories and simply sit with them, something shifts. The panic softens. The blame fades. What's left is space. Space to begin again, not from fear, but from peace. You may notice tears or nothing at all. Either is fine. What matters is the presence. The choice to turn toward what you've avoided and offer it gentleness instead of judgment. That's what honey teaches. That sweetness can be strength. That softness is not weakness. It's how the body rewires. So today, let your practice be simple. No goals, no mantras. Just the stillness of your own hand resting on your belly with a drop of something ancient and kind reminding you, it's safe now. You're allowed to have peace with money. You're allowed to stop surviving and start feeling supported. You don't have to earn rest or prove your worth. You can simply begin, right here, with the warmth of your own touch and a willingness to release what no longer needs to stay. And sometimes, that's all it takes to begin rewriting your financial story, not in your head, but in your body. Day 5, steady the flow, sandalwood again. By now, something in you has started to shift. Maybe you're breathing deeper. Maybe you've been noticing more, how you move, how you spend, how you pause before reacting. It's subtle, but it's there. A kind of soft realignment, like your system is learning what safety feels like again. That's why on day 5 we return to sandalwood. Not because we've run out of oils, but because stability isn't built from variety. It's built from rhythm, from returning, from doing something quiet and grounding even when nothing dramatic seems to be happening. Especially then, sandalwood is the companion that stays. It doesn't spike your energy or make big promises. It simply reminds your body that the foundation you laid on day 1 is still here and still holding. And sometimes that's the most powerful thing, knowing you don't have to keep starting over. You can just keep going. This morning, take 1 drop of sandalwood and press it to your navel. You've done this before, but don't let it feel like routine. Let it feel like return. Sit facing a window if you can, or somewhere with soft, natural light. Breathe in deeply, not to awaken or release, but just to settle. To remind your nervous system we're still okay. Place your hands over your belly, not as a ritual to complete, but as a message to send. Nothing is chasing me. I don't need to force. What I need is already on its way. And here's the hard part, believing that. Especially if you've lived through years of urgency, unpredictability, or instability. But just for today, see if you can rest in the idea that maybe the effort isn't what brings the results. Maybe it's your energy. Maybe it's the steadiness of your field that makes wealth feel safe to approach you, stay with you, grow with you. There's a quiet kind of magnetism in people who aren't desperate, who aren't clinging or chasing, who show up, breathe, trust, and keep tending to their energy like it matters, because it does. So let today be a quiet anchor. A moment to remember that you don't always need to rise. Sometimes you just need to root. That's how the flow stays. That's how abundance knows where to return. Day 6, invite new light, grapefruit or orange. Day 6 is for opening, not in a grand, dramatic way, but gently, like pulling back the curtains in a quiet room and letting in the morning light. After days of grounding, clearing, and softening, today your body is ready to receive something brighter. Not more effort, not more doing, just space. A breath of fresh air in places that once felt closed. That's why today we turn to citrus, grapefruit, or sweet orange. These oils don't just smell fresh, they feel fresh. They lift, light, and energize, not like caffeine, but like hope. And sometimes hope doesn't come from words, it comes from a subtle shift in energy, a sensation that things might be okay after all. That's what grapefruit and orange offer, a chance to remember what lightness feels like even if life hasn't felt light for a while. This morning, apply 1 drop to your navel. Warm it slightly between your fingers if you like. Press gently, don't rush. Then go outside if possible, even for 5 minutes. Let the air touch your skin. Let the sun, if it's there, meet your face. Walk, not to go anywhere. Just to move through space like someone who knows she deserves to feel good again. There's a softness that returns when you do this. The kind that's been buried under layers of stress, disappointment, or simply long years of holding it all together. Citrus oils help peel those layers back, not to expose you, but to let you breathe again. You don't need to explain it, you don't even need to feel ready. Just show up for the walk, for the scent, for the way your belly responds when you remember to move with gentleness instead of pressure. For the thought that maybe, just maybe, something good is coming, not because you chased it, but because you cleared space for it. Let today be that space. Let it be light. Let it be enough. Day 7, bring it all together, sandalwood plus cinnamon. Day 7 isn't about starting something new. It's about weaving everything together. The grounding of day 1, the fire of action, the slow return from stagnation, the softness that healed old money wounds, the calm that made space, the light that lifted. Today, all of it meets here, at your center. You don't need more ideas, you need integration. And that's why today we blend sandalwood and cinnamon, stillness and movement, earth and fire, stability and spark. One without the other is incomplete. Too much fire burns, too much stillness stalls, but together they create balance, the kind of energy that moves with grace and knows when to pause, when to act, when to let go, when to open. This morning, take 1 drop of each oil. You can layer them, sandalwood first, then cinnamon, or blend them in your palm before applying to your navel. Do what feels right to your rhythm. Press gently into the belly, close your eyes, let the warmth spread and the scent settle. Sit quietly, upright but soft, like a flame in still air. There's no instruction today, no action step. This is the pause after the movement, the breath after the breakthrough. The part where your body, mind, and energy recognize that something has shifted and you don't need to chase it, you just need to hold it. Place your hands over your belly and breathe. 3 deep, steady breaths. As you inhale, remind yourself, I am the center of clarity. As you exhale, release whatever tightness lingers. Let this final ritual feel complete, not because everything is fixed, but because you have returned to yourself more whole than when you started. You've planted, you've stirred, you've released, you've opened. Now you let the work settle into your system, not as effort, but as frequency, because energy responds to rhythm, not intensity. And the rhythm you've created over these 7 days, it's not just healing, it's magnetic. So carry that with you. Not as a task, but as a truth. You are no longer leaking energy. You are holding it, quietly, fully ready. Part 3, why this might not work unless you avoid these 3 mistakes. Some rituals don't fail because they lack power. They fail because we forget how to meet them halfway. You could have the purest oils, the most sacred intentions, and the most beautiful routine. But if one part of your energy misaligns, the shift you're seeking won't come. Not because you did something wrong, but because you didn't create the conditions for your body and energy to fully receive. Let's speak plainly, not every person who tries this 7-day practice will feel an immediate transformation. Some will try it once and walk away thinking, it didn't work for me. Others will feel a flicker of change, then fall back into old patterns. And a few, the ones who stay consistent, intentional, and aware, will begin to see their energy and finances move in a way that feels natural, supported, and deeply personal. So what separates them? Often, it's not luck or spiritual aptitude. It's simply avoiding 3 mistakes that quietly block the very results you're calling in. Mistake #1, using low-quality or synthetic oils. It might seem like a small detail, but the purity of the oil is everything. Energy responds to frequency, and synthetic oils carry no real vibrational charge. In fact, many cheap oils are diluted with fillers or alcohols that can irritate your skin, disrupt your hormonal balance, or worse, confuse your body's energetic system. When you place something artificial on your navel, you're essentially sending a mixed signal. You're saying, "I want clarity," but your body is receiving static. To truly activate your energetic center, the oils must be as alive and honest as the intention you bring. Look for organic, cold-pressed, or traditionally distilled oils. Support small, conscious makers when you can. This ritual deserves ingredients that match its depth. Mistake #2, rushing the ritual, multitasking, or treating it like a checklist. We're a culture addicted to productivity. We treat rest like laziness and healing like an achievement to unlock. But energy doesn't respond to hustle. It responds to presence. If you're applying oil while scrolling your phone, checking emails, or mentally reviewing your to-do list, your nervous system won't register the ritual as meaningful. It will file it under noise, not nourishment. The navel is one of the most sensitive, energetic gateways in your body. It's not just a place to rub oil, it's a place that listens. And it can't hear you if you're distracted. This practice takes less than 5 minutes. Give those minutes your full attention. Let it be a moment you protect, a space where nothing else intrudes. Because the more you show up for it, the more it will show up for you. Mistake #3, inconsistency or giving up too soon. We often expect change to happen like a light switch. One action, one moment, instant results. But energetic work doesn't follow that timeline. Your body holds years, sometimes decades, of unprocessed emotion, memory, and fear. One drop of oil won't undo all of that in a day. What it will do, if repeated consistently, is begin to create a new rhythm. A steady signal to your body that it is safe to soften, safe to act, safe to receive. That rhythm is what creates real change, not the action itself, but the repetition of it. And when you stop halfway through, when you skip days or tell yourself, "I'll start over next week," you interrupt the very flow you're trying to build. It's not about being perfect. It's about being steady, even if the results feel small at first. A clearer head, a more grounded feeling, a moment of ease in a stressful day. Those signals matter. They mean your energy is shifting, but only if you keep going. So ask yourself, have I created the space for this to work? Have I honored the materials, the time, the energy with the same respect I give everything else I want to grow? If not, start again. Not from failure, but from remembrance. Because the practice itself hasn't failed. You simply haven't met it fully yet. Give yourself that chance, not for the ritual, for you. So now you've walked through something gentle but powerful. You've touched places in yourself most people never think to visit. Not because they don't care, but because they never knew how. In 7 days, you didn't just apply oil to the skin. You sent a signal to your nervous system, to your past, to the quiet, unspoken part of you that has always longed to feel safe with money, steady in your choices, and grounded in your body. And if you're wondering whether this was just symbolic, or if it actually changed something inside you, let me say this clearly: your biology listens. Your cells remember rhythm, and your energy always responds to care. We now know through science what ancient traditions have felt for centuries. That touch, scent, breath, intention, they all speak to the body in a language deeper than thought. What you practiced wasn't magic. It was nervous system repair, pattern interruption, energetic attunement, and that's not just spiritual, that's real. Some changes will come quietly, a lighter mood, a moment of clarity before a decision. A softening where stress used to live. Don't rush to measure them. Let them build, let them root. Because what you've done this week isn't about fixing yourself. It's about returning to yourself. If you stayed with this practice, if you breathed, felt, and showed up, you've already done more for your energy than most people will do in a year. And if some days you missed or didn't feel much, that's okay too. You're human, and healing is not a performance. It's a relationship. So thank you for choosing to care for yourself in this way, for listening, for being curious, for being willing to slow down in a world that never stops pulling. I hope this ritual becomes something you return to, not as a chore, but as a quiet place that always welcomes you back. May your energy stay steady. May your path stay clear, and may wealth of every kind find you right on time. You deserve that.